Right. Hi folks, another day, another dollar.
How do you feel about the massive market intervention of making government departments buy wool?
Well, they only need to use wool if it's practical and appropriate, which I guess is what they already do.
Do you reckon a point to the announcement then?
Beg your pardon?
Is there a point to it then, the announcement?
Well, I think it'll give a lot of people a boost to know that government departments are going to think about wool more.
This is the sort of thing that you would be railing against if you were in opposition. You're actually happy that this is happening?
I railed against it in opposition when it was mandatory. Now it's a consideration they have to make if it's practical and appropriate.
Yeah, but the threshold is still $9 million or $10,000 or $100,000 if it's a refurbishment. That's going to cover a lot of places. I mean, this is corporate welfare, isn't it?
No, they've got to consider it if it's practical and appropriate, as long as it's over $100,000. Otherwise, they don't even have to do that.
Would you be concerned if more taxpayer money was being spent on carpets because of this policy?
Well, it depends if it's practical and appropriate, which is the rule. Then maybe it's a good use of money. If it's not, they won't do it, which is what they should be doing anyway.
What do you think of the argument of valuing the product over the lifetime of its use? So that seems to be what they're saying, that over the whole cycle of the carpet being on the floor, then it's going to be cheaper.
Yeah. Well, you'd kind of hope that when people build a building, they're really thinking about the best long-term investment anyway. And that's kind of my point, right? Like, if it's a good idea, they're probably going to do it anyway. If it's not, then they don't have to, which is actually what you should always be doing.
Is more red tape, Minister? Is this just more red tape and regulation from the government that's unnecessary? I mean, it's a consideration they don't have to do it, so why make a law?
Well, I guess if you're making sure that you do the best thing when it's practical and appropriate, it's what we expect them to do, and it's not a bad thing to think about the lifetime use of something that you're buying. I mean, that's what you should do when you buy anything, from your shirt to anything else.
Service, thinking about doing something.
Yeah. Hey, look. I mean, I don't have a problem with thinking. It can get us out of a lot of trouble.
Are you saying that there's no change here? Is that how you characterise it?
Well, I would hope that people were already using the best product when practical and appropriate. So in that sense, only if people have been doing their job badly would it make a big difference. But hey, if people have been doing their job badly and they do it better as a result, then great.
Is this just a dead rat that you have to swallow as a coalition partner?
I think that's just a line that people have heard many times on the news, and I'm not sure it's appropriate in this particular context.
You would support that if this wasn't part of the coalition deal with New Zealand First. Would you support the policy as part of an ACT national government?
If it was a question of should we use the right product when it's practical and appropriate, including wool, yeah, I'd always have no problem with that.
How do you feel about Tama Potaka celebrating Cremation Day, saying he can't wait for the great moment of burying the Treaty Principles Bill?
Well, I know that Tama gets a lot of stick from his own community, being part of this government associated with the Treaty Principles Bill, and I suspect that he probably feels a bit of stress there, and I wouldn't ever, begrudge him letting off a bit of steam if that's how he feels.
So you don't blame him for that term phrase?
No, I mean, if that's what Tama wants to say, that's fine. But ultimately, the people at home will judge how each party stands on the Treaty Principles Bill. They'll see that ACT has been brave, articulate and patriotic, putting forward an issue that needs to be debated, Others maybe not so much, but they can all stand up and be counted, and I'm sure the people of New Zealand will make up their mind on that.
Are you happy with how Andrew Hoggard has managed his conflict of interest, with his sister writing to his office lobbying him to change regulations?
Yeah, I am. It's no great surprise that two siblings who grew up on a farm are interested in farming.
Yeah,
he's declared it. I don't think anyone's surprised by it, and I can't see how it's changed his decision from what it would already be. So, if it was something wildly unexpected, that you never imagined that Andrew Hoggard himself would have a farming background and be receptive to farming interests, then that would be interesting. But actually, this is exactly what you'd expect. Someone who's been elected because they're deeply networked in the farming community, and the person that happens to be his sister, the conflict's been declared. So really, what's the surprise?
There's an issue around
to reach out to her for advice early in the process, which she has acknowledged took place, and was it also appropriate for her to be invited to a meeting?
Well, she's actually nationally recognised expert in dairy pricing, and your big problem with her is who her brother is.
What I'm asking is, was it appropriate for them to seek advice from her, given who her brother is?
Well, given that she's a nationally recognised expert in dairy markets, I think it actually would be pretty appropriate, and your consideration is her family.
Does Tama Potaka's comments about the second reading of the Treaty Principles Bill make you more or less confident that you'll have a last surge of support and it will go through a second reading?
Well, I haven't really been basing any of my hopes on Tama Potaka's comments on this or anything else, to be quite honest. I mean, look, I can see the guy. He gets a tough time sometimes that he's blowing off a bit of steam. Good on him.
You have said about it if you want. Should we bring them in?
You have said though that you're hoping that
I do, my Potaka.
Do you think his comments are in the spirit of the coalition agreement?
Look, I wouldn't phrase it that way, but again, he's clearly feeling a bit pressured, and that's how he blows off steam. I'm a pretty forgiving sort of guy.
Do you think he's just blowing off steam, or is he just giving his actual opinion?
Hard to know. Certainly, if he wanted to give his actual opinion, there's many other ways he could put it.
Have you had any conversations with him behind the scenes about those comments?
No, I mean, look, we actually talk to each other daily. He texted me this morning saying he supported a paper I was taking to Cabinet. We work across a whole lot of different things. This is not as big a deal to me as some people might expect. I respect his right to have a view. I believe in free speech. I don't agree with his view, but actually it's up to the people of New Zealand to judge his view, not me.
Are you still hoping back at Parliament?
Sorry, can I just listen to?
Would you like to see Benjamin Doyle back at Parliament? They haven't been back at Parliament since the story regarding their social media posts.
Well, Benjamin Doyle's getting paid every 2 weeks as a parliamentary MP. I think he should come to Parliament. And I just make the point that they came to Parliament to explain and advance queer rights, at least in part. What a great opportunity to come and clear up something where I think there's a lot of misinformation and madness on both sides. The one person who could really put that to bed, so to speak, is not here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Cheers. Hi, Chris. Hello, mate. Cheers.